Hey guys, welcome to Great Learning. Cloud computing is an extremely competitive domain in the year 2021 and beyond, as you might already know. Individuals and enterprises alike, everyone is interested in implementing the technology of the cloud with their products and their services. With a high demand such as this, you should know that there are hundreds, if not thousands of job opportunities in this domain. And most of these companies hiring for these roles are looking for candidates who not only have domain experience but also certifications to back it up. But since there are so many certifications, you might have this question: what are some of the best cloud computing certifications to go for in the year 2021? Well, let us help you answer this question completely with the help of this video. I know you guys are excited to get started. What are you waiting for? My name is Anirudh Rao. Let's go. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. This is done to make sure you do not miss out on any of the new updates or video releases from Great Learning. And of course, guys, if you enjoy this video, show us some love and do like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, right? So make sure you share this video with your friends, colleagues, and everyone who can make use of it. And at the end of it, make sure to comment on the video if you have any queries or any suggestions, and I'll be more than happy to respond to all of your comments. Alright guys, coming to the agenda on this best cloud computing certifications to go for in the year 2021, we definitely have to check out the top 3 big guys in the game, right? That's Amazon Web Services, or AWS as they're popularly called, Microsoft Azure, and the Google Cloud Platform. Now you might have seen that all these platforms are trending for their very own reasons. All of these have their own services in which they're popular in, and so much more, right? So we are gonna dive right into the heart of each of these providers. We're going to take a look at all the certifications that you guys will have to go through, and what are the options you have in AWS. Similarly, we'll be doing that for Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud Platform as well, right? So after this, we're also going to be taking a look at if there are any certification orders that you have to go on to complete. Are there any structured set path that says, hey, you have to complete this certification before doing another one or something like that, right? So I'm going to answer all of your questions with the help of this video, right? So let's get started with the first one, which is AWS certifications. Now with AWS certifications, there are many important pointers that we're going to have to discuss. We're going to have to take a look at the order of certifications. We're going to take a look at the certifications themselves and a lot more. So let's begin. Now let us come to a section where we are going to answer this question: which AWS certification is the right one for you? Now, if there are multiple AWS certifications, I'm sure you guys already know this. That would be the reason why you guys have tuned into this session. So to answer this question is very important. Now, what are the domains that you guys are looking for? Because let me tell you, this cloud computing is like an ocean, right? If you throw a stone, it will not dent the ocean into it, or nor will it matter a lot, right? So you have to hone in. You might be a person who's into data science, you might be a person who wants to do machine learning, or you are a DevOps professional or something, right? So you need to find your niche and then see which cloud provider is sort of providing support for your niche element to be used in this online world of cloud computing, right? That is an important thing. Now you might saying, hey, okay, I am a database developer. What's my thing? If I'm looking towards cloud, do I have any scope or something like that? As I've told you, right, 9 out of 10 domains here are something that can be scalable on the cloud. It literally, you will not find a difference of you using an offline server or you actually being connected to a cloud computing platform and working on it. Both are highly efficient. Both eventually will, it depends on your requirement of which will cost the higher or not. But coming back to certifications, there are multiple certifications and each of these certifications have a cost to it. So you need to know which certification is right for you before you get started, right? Let's answer that question. Which AWS certification is right for you?
Now, before you think about how these certifications sort of, do you actually get a physical certificate mailed to your house and all of that are some of the questions that we get. The first thing is AWS provides these badges, these virtual badges called as acclaim badges, which are sort of the validation that, you guys are certified in that domain. I'm going to show you what the badges look like, but once you have these badges, it means you're a person, who is certified in these domains, right? There are certain examinations that usually one certification comes with one examination that you have to clear to make sure that you're showing the world that, hey, here is something that I learned. Here is an examination where I verified what I learned and I proved my worth. And then AWS gives you a badge saying, yes, this person is an expert, right? You got that. You prepare for it. You take up an examination. You pass the examination with the score that is required. And then you are a professional in that particular subdomain in the world of AWS, right? Now, the next question we get asked saying is, do I compulsorily have to know English to get started with AWS certification, or can I take it in any other language? Well, of course, AWS at the moment supports 4 different languages. You can take it in English. You can take all of these examinations in Japanese as well, Chinese and Korean, depending on where you are from and what you're proficient in as well. So it is not only just that compulsory requirement that you have to do it in English, there are other languages as well. And I'm sure AWS is working on bringing more and more and more languages into the domain to make sure that people who are not so proficient in the English can definitely make complete use of it, right? So keep that thought in your mind, even though maybe your language is not listed here at the moment, right? The second set of things that you really have to know about AWS certifications is that when I said exams, right, these exams are not free. Some of these exams cost somewhere around $100 all the way to $350 that you will have to pay for every single attempt that you take, right? Now, in Indian currency, it is basically 7,000 rupees all the way till somewhere around 26,000 rupees per attempt for an examination that you guys will have to pay to become an expert in all of these domains and have a certification for the same, right? Now, since I've already mentioned that there are multiple examinations that are available, certifications that are available, if we take the average of all of these and find a duration, the average of an examination is somewhere around 2 hours, guys. So you will be preparing for weeks and months together to give a 2-hour exam that is eventually going to give you a badge, an acclaim badge that shows that you're an expert in this particular domain, right? So keeping this in mind, you might say, okay, so it's a 2-hour examination. I learn for a couple of weeks or months. I write it. I am certified. Am I a lifelong AWS expert now? In terms of certification validity, right, all AWS certificates that you take the exam and get the acclaim badge for, this acclaim badge or certification is valid for 3 years, ladies and gentlemen. So for after every 3rd year, you have to prove yourself again. And just to make sure that you guys, usually in today's world, what happens is once you prove your worth, you get into a cloud computing job. Later down the line, no one is going to ask you to retake these examinations again and again, because they already know that you have years worth of experience. But there are certain companies who say you definitely have to have an active certification if you're a part of the company. So in those cases, after every 3 years, you might have to take up the same certification again. But usually people build upon multiple certifications which are out there from the beginner level to the advanced level, which we are going to talk about right now, right? There are 3 different tiers when we talk about AWS certifications, ladies and gentlemen. It is the foundational certification, it is the associate certification, and of course, it's the AWS professional certification as well. Now, AWS Foundational certification is usually recommended for the people who have somewhere around 6 months of experience. They like to work with, cloud computing. They want to work with AWS. They might have not worked with it previously. They want to understand the entire foundation of, the functional working of cloud computing. Basically, for those people, AWS Foundation is the right one. Then when you're thinking about AWS Associate certification, this is when there's a recommended experience to have. It is somewhere around 12 months or of course 1 year's worth of experience before you should take up this certification and actively work on clearing it. There's another level of certification called as the AWS Professional certification. This mind you, is somewhere from around 12 to 24 months of experience, right? So it is actually supposed to be beyond 12 months of experience for this one, for AWS certification. But of course, it is not a compulsion saying you have to have 12, 24, 6 months of experience to get started with. It is their recommended amount of experience that it requires, because you cannot clear a certification with maybe 5-10 days of expertise, right? You have to know the in-depths of the domain. That is why it's called as a certification, right, guys? Now, before we go on to talk about each of these individual certifications, again, if you guys are very much interested in all of these courses in cloud computing and any other course, make sure you guys are actively checking out Great Learning Academy. And of course, do subscribe to the Great Learning YouTube channel and take a second to hit that like button if you love everything you're seeing on your screen right now, guys. It's an amazing thing about AWS Foundational certifications that you're supposed to know a lot of different things, right? See, on the right, you have something called as the Acclaim badge that we saw about, and in the case of AWS Foundational certifications, there is one very important certificate that you guys have to work on. Start taking notes from this point on, guys. It's called as the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner certification. Now, this is a certification which talks a lot about how you can have a clear understanding about the foundational aspects that govern the entire world of cloud computing. If you're a person who's familiar with the Microsoft Azure environment, right? So this certification is very similar to the one that they offer, which is called as Microsoft Azure Fundamentals certification, right? So it's a certification that you use to get started with the domain, understand it, be thorough in the foundations, and then have a certificate saying, yes, I am a cloud practitioner. I know how this cloud computing domain works. But then to go on to do it, you require one examination. That examination is called as AWS CLF C01. This examination has to be cleared, and to work on these examinations, right? Especially the examination C01 that I spoke about will test you on 4 very important concepts. First of all the cloud concepts, it will be talking about the various services provided, what each services mean, when a cloud computing platform is providing a service, what are all the things that the client has to know, what all are the things that the cloud computing platforms themselves are providing, and all of that. Next, of course, whenever you're thinking about putting your data out there on a public platform, you have to understand about keeping that data secure, right? So next, you'll be talking about security, you will be tested on compliance, and of course, the basic technology that goes into having and understanding a working cloud environment, right? Technology is something that you will be quizzed upon here as well. And the fourth thing is, as I told you, to get started with an AWS cloud computing platform, it is sort of free in a way. They give you a free trial and a good amount of credit that you can use to learn. But going on, the majority of the money, of course, comes in from their products which are being billed to customers, and all the pricing that is being given to the customers, right? So you have to understand for what amount of usage is what amount of bill that is eventually costing to the company, right? So that is an important thing that we'll be talking about in the AWS Foundational certification, guys. So there's only one cloud practitioner certification in the foundational level. Coming on the second thing is the AWS Associate certifications. Now, Associate certifications is one step up from the foundational certifications in a way where here you have 3 choices to pick from. You have the AWS Certified Associate, the Solutions Architect Associate. Next, you have the SysOps Administrator Associate, and you have the Developer Associate certification. You can pick one of these, or you can pick all of these as well. But usually, you can either work on a Solutions Architect Associate or a Developers Associate. But if you're a person who loves working on the admin side of things, you definitely should look towards the SysOps Administrator Associate as well. Right, guys. Now, whenever you're taking a look at the first one, which was the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate, right? This certification requires an examination that is called as SAA C02. SAA stands for Solutions Architect Associate. C02 is the name of the examination that you have to take to clear this. And this is an examination which will test you on how well you understand certain design principles that exist in the world of software, right? There is a structured way of how we look at building a software or even maintaining a software and eventually using it. So to understand all of these of how it works in a cloud computing platform is exactly what you'll be taught in this certification as well. So you have to know this. You'll be tested based upon this, right? So it is again, if you have a problem, if you have a project, it is not only one way of how you can solve it. There can be 10 solutions. There can be 100 solutions, right? So you need to know all of these best practices practices that go into finding the best solution for a project. That is what you will be tested on as well. All right, so you'll be tested on 4 things of how you can design resilient architectures which will stand if even if the company is scaling really quickly. The second thing is, whenever you're working about providing a solution, you have to talk about if the cloud computing platform is providing high performance computing and high performance architecture for the companies. You will be tested upon that as well. And the third thing, as always, is an important thing with AWS is security. You will be tested on security applications, security architectures, how you understand security, how you implement it, and all of that in AWS, right? And the fourth thing is, sometimes you can cross your budgets really easily. So having cost optimization is an important skill to have. You'll be trained upon all of that, and you, instead of trained upon with this certification, you'll be tested upon that directly, guys. So you have to have the working knowledge of how you can optimize the costs when it comes to using these platforms, right? You might require one computer, a simple i3 or an i5 machine to get your job done, and there's a good chance you might have used a very powerful computer which will maybe not come in your budget, right? So in that particular case as well, you have to look towards a solution where you can optimize the best way possible in terms of returns and in terms of money. Right, guys. Now, after the first AWS Associate certification, the second thing which you're going to check out is the SysOps Administrator Associate. With the SysOps Administrator Associate, you have to take an exam, SOA C01. You have to clear this to make sure you have the certification. This is a certification which is definitely testing you on your ability of how you can deploy services on AWS, how you can manage services on AWS, and of course, how you can operate these systems, right? This is the practical knowledge. This is the foundational concept that you would have built upon from your foundational certification. As an associate, you definitely should know how to deploy, maintain, or operate systems on the cloud computing platform. And it is not only this, it makes sure that you can have the complete capability to take an on-premise workload, move it onto AWS, and make sure that whatever was the load that your AWS system can handle it, it can work on it, and effectively provide a solution based upon it as well, right? So that's SysOps Administrator Associate. You will be tested upon your skills of how you know about monitoring and reporting in AWS, what is the amount of availability that you are aware of, how you can map different things on the platform, what is your knowledge upon deployment and provisioning, storage and management, security and compliance. See, security is a very important thing everywhere, right? And then networking is very important for SysOps, and of course the world of automation and how you can optimize things, not only finances wise, but even providing a solution to a product, right? That is why a SysOps Administrator certification is very important. The next certification that we're going to be checking out is the AWS Certified Developer Associate. Now, this is a very popular certification which a lot of people look towards. So guys, again, there's an examination for this. The examination is DVA C01. DVA stands for the Developer Associate C01. This needs to be cleared where in a way where you can clear this if you have the complete capability to understand all of the different services provided by AWS. You have a functional knowledge of the architecture, you have had some hands-on experience in that, right? So it will test you on a lot of different things, including all of the stuff that I just said, and also it will be checking your capability if you can develop cloud-based solutions. Can you deploy cloud-based solutions? How well can you do it? How effectively are you trying to solve a problem? All of that is being discussed in the AWS Associate Developers, AWS Certified Developers Associate certification as well. In this particular case, you will be tested upon all of these things of how you can go on to provide deployment, what is the methods of security you're going to be implementing when you're designing and deploying a product or a software here, and of course, how can you do native development using all the services provided by AWS, and of course, a lot of monitoring, troubleshooting, understanding what is going on, right? So it's almost like you definitely being a developer, but being a developer on an entirely different platform, right? So you require that sort of thinking, the mindset that a developer would have. But in this case, you're going to be using all that knowledge to scale upon things that are present in the cloud computing environment. So these are the AWS Associate certifications, guys. there are two important AWS professional certifications that you guys should be looking towards. It is the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Professional and the AWS Certified DevOps Engineer Professional, right? These two certifications are sort of the pinnacle of AWS certifications, at least in my opinion, because if you are an AWS Certified Solutions Architect, it means that you have the complete working knowledge of this domain. You might have come from the foundational level, you might have come through the associate level, and now you have also cleared the professional certification, right? So let us check out what these two certifications are all about. In the case of AWS Certified Architect Professional, right, there's an exam which you need, which you have to clear, which is the SAP C01. SAP stands for Solutions Architect Professional. This is definitely a requirement for you guys to clear the certification. To clear it, you will be tested on a lot of things. One very important thing that you'll be tested upon is how you can design and deploy fault-tolerant systems, how you can design and deploy scalable applications as well, right? Now, when I say a scalable application, at the end of the day, you might have a product which is working fine if you get a customer base of 10. Now, if you have to up that into 100,000, 10,000 or 1 lakh customers that you haven't expected but eventually rushed into your platform or your website, you have to make sure that your application, your software doesn't crash, right? But guess what? AWS has the complete capability to do auto scaling for you in a way where if it will allocate systems automatically based on the traffic, based on the resources that are being used. So if a small amount of resources are being used, 1 to 5 or 10 computers are allocated. If a lot of people are coming in and the rush is just pouring in, you definitely can just automatically set it to scale up. So eventually things don't fail, right? Now, a lot of e-commerce sites eventually use this principle. Whenever there is a flash sale, whenever there is a launch event or something where product gets sold out in a few seconds, all the traffic is pouring in that particular second, so their site should not crash, right? So they allocate in the backend the resources required automatically to scale up based on the traffic that is hand. So this is a certification that will test you on all of these abilities that you might have. It will talk about how you can work on cost control strategies as well, because once you go up and up and up in this domain, your costs will also go up because of the convenience and the numerous advantages that you're being provided with. It is vital that you work on how you can effectively minimize your cost and maximize your value for money, right? So there's a lot of content online, which content outline which you definitely can look towards. You'll be working on, you would have worked on the design for organizational complexity. That is something you'll be tested upon. How can you provide new solutions? That is something you'll be tested upon. What is your plan for migrating from one system to another one, maybe one platform into another, taking an offline server and bringing it to the cloud, eventually cost control, and how can you improvise the solutions that already exist, right? Now, it doesn't mean that if you're using cloud computing, you started on scratch. It might be that you have a system which you already took to the cloud and now you look towards improving that, right? In that particular case, continuous improvement is something which is very vital, ladies and gentlemen. Right. This brings us to the second professional certifications where we'll be discussing about the AWS Certified DevOps Engineer Professional. The word DevOps here is a very fun one because DevOps is again a domain on its own which is trying to bridge the gap that exists between developers and operations team. Right now, developers go on to write code, write a varieties of software. It is the department, it is the operations department that eventually makes sure that the latest stuff gets verified, tested, and then becomes live on the web application, website, or whatever software it is. Right. So to know that you're a person who has the capability to do this on a cloud computing platform, you are going to require to clear an examination, DOP C01. DOP stands for DevOps Engineer Professional C01. This needs to be cleared. There's an examination. To go on to clear it, it will make sure that you have to be proficient in the case of how you can implement continuous delivery systems on the world of Amazon Web Services. It will also talk about how not only can you deploy things better, but your ability to track the metrics behind these deployments, to talk about how well can you monitor solutions using this, and what is your proficiency in terms of logging, right? Logging is this fundamental structured thing which is done to track a lot of different things. A million things can be logged at your fingertips and you can have the information ready in the case of AWS, but to read those logs and understand them, you require certain knowledge, right? So you'll be tested upon all of these different things. You'll be tested upon how you can automate the software development lifecycle. That is what SDLC stands for. You'll also be talking about working on configuration management and using infrastructure as code. You will be tested upon your ability to monitor and work on logging, as I just mentioned. And of course, there are certain policies and standards which can be automated as well. You will be tested upon that too. And it so happens in some cases that there are certain incidents. So to make sure that your systems are fault tolerant and you already have a plan in case of disaster strikes, right? It's called as disaster recovery and incident and event responses as well. So everything is covered, right? From the best case situation till the worst case situation where something might happen and your data is gone from the Amazon's data center, right? Maybe a huge earthquake, maybe a tsunami, whatever it is, right? I mean, these data centers are placed in a way where it is extremely safe, and to get access to it by a public person is nearly impossible because it is highly secure, and it is impossible to break in because there are 15-16 layers of security that one must go through even before getting to touch the server where your data is stored, right? So they're making sure that you know all of these things. As a professional, it becomes very vital that you know all of these, ladies and gentlemen. Now to talk about the AWS Specialty certifications, well, this is a certification which is again bringing down into the niche domain where you are trying to cover about things which are very vital. Again, they are a special thing, they are a small thing, but it might have a huge impact, right? Now, in the case of AWS, you have three different specialty certifications: the AWS Certified Database certification, you have the AWS Certified Data Analytics certification, and of course, the AWS Certified Machine Learning certification as well. So let us quickly talk about three more certifications that are there from the first three that I just mentioned. You have AWS Certified Security, AWS Certified Networking, and AWS Certified Alexa Skill Builder as well, guys. Now, whenever we're talking about these certifications, right, look to your screen. There are 6 that are mentioned: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each of these specialty certifications have certain meaning to them. For example, if you want to look towards becoming an expert in the case of database management and working with it on a cloud computing platform, you would look at AWS Certified Database. If you're a person who's into data analytics and you want to take your entire knowledge to the cloud, you definitely will be working on AWS Certified Data Analytics as well. And the third thing is, if you're a person who is looking towards machine learning to provide solutions based upon this domain of data science and you want to expand all of this to the cloud, you definitely should be looking towards AWS Certified Machine Learning as well. Right, guys. Point number 4 talks about AWS Certified Security. Again, if you are a person who's looking towards certification in the domain of security, you want to understand it better, you'll be looking towards AWS Security. If you're a person who wants to understand how the back end of networking works in the world of cloud computing, AWS Certified Networking will help you. And number 6, right, AWS Certified Alexa Skill Builder. Alexa is again a part of the Amazon's ecosystem. So if you're looking towards that kind of a ecosystem to learn in as well, you can bring that platform to the cloud and use it too, guys. So these are some of the 6 specialty certifications that you can cover with the help of AWS. There is no order to any sort of AWS certifications, guys. There was a time when you compulsorily had to clear a particular order to make sure, that you can, for example, you have to clear Foundational to get to Associate, then you have to clear Associate to get to Professionals. Now everything is standalone for the last couple of months to get started with, but it is highly recommended you start with the cloud certified cloud practitioner, because this will get you started with the domain itself. Don't just jump towards professional certification thinking that you've put in a good amount of time. Professional certifications are very difficult to clear and these examinations can be challenging as well. So get started with certified cloud practitioner, then look towards associate examinations, and then look towards these professional ones, right? So depending on your interest, depending on what it is that you want to learn, I'm sure there is a certification, right? We also discussed the specialty certifications that are there here. So Based upon all of that, you definitely require this kind of a knowledge. For example, in many cases for certain professional certifications, you do require associate certification as well. So in that case, it is vital to know. But it is a very recent policy change in Amazon that says that no matter what, all AWS certifications are standalone. All right, guys. So I hope we were clear, completely with respect to all the AWS certifications out there. Now, similarly, Microsoft Azure also provides certifications, so we are going to have to check them out as well. AWS were the first people to say, hey, we're going to provide certifications on our platform, and then Azure said, hey, you know what, even we can do that. So even these guys are providing certifications to add that much of a value to your knowledge and your learning as well, right? So let us go on to check out the various certifications that are provided by Microsoft Azure. After having understood that, hey, Azure is popular, Azure is one among the top three, they're doing things really amazingly well, all of the things set apart. Now that we're talking about certifications, which Azure certification should you go for? There are a lot of certification, and I'm sure you guys are curious, right? Now, to be honest with you, there's multiple certifications, but all of these certifications are brought down and simplified into 4 different tiers. We have the Azure Fundamental certifications. We have multiple Azure Associate level certifications. We have the Azure Expert level certifications, and we have Specialty certifications. Now, if you take a look at the name itself is going to give you a good amount of clarity of what you should expect from the certification programs, right? Azure Fundamentals talk about how you can quickly pace yourself up with respect to Azure, the domain itself, the working knowledge of the domain and all of that. Associate certification, you're supposed to be looking at if you're a person maybe 6 months or 1 year experience and you want to challenge yourself, you want to push yourself to be certified, right? So that is an associate level certification. Then you have the expert level certification. So once you have 2 or 3 years worth of experience, you definitely will want to look towards Azure Expert certifications, because at the end of the day, using that, you can become an architect, you can become a cloud architect. And if you are a cloud architect, especially with proficiency in Azure, you definitely can look towards amazing jobs in your dream companies, dream designations, whatever it is, ladies and gentlemen, right? And then we have Azure Specialty certifications. Specialty certifications are really nice because at the end of the day, if you have certain niche concepts or certain niche domains, you bring it towards Azure, and you can use IoT by making use of Microsoft Azure. Now, that is not the only purpose of Microsoft Azure, but then hey, they are providing a certification which says you can become an expert in IoT to work on it and provide solutions using the Azure platform, right? How amazing is that? So how many certifications do we have in total? Well, to answer this question, we have 14 Azure certifications in total that you can work towards. Now, a common question we get saying is, okay, so if I'm looking to become certified in Microsoft Azure, do I have to do all 14 of these? And the answer to this is absolutely no. See, these are role-based certifications and these are specialty certifications in which you can pick up what it is that you would want to do and you can, work on that as well. If you're directly jumping to an expert level certification, sometimes there are prerequisites, regarding certification, or the most important part in the knowledge itself, that you have to clear the associate level to get to that, right? So it's highly suggested you take it, step by step, work with the fundamentals and then go ahead, right? So this is an important thing. There are 14 certifications in total that are split down into 4 tiers, which we checked out in this particular slide: fundamentals, associate, expert, and specialty, right? Perfect, ladies and gentlemen. Now let us go on to check out what these certifications cost you, right? Now, these certifications are not free. You have to take an examination to go on to show your proficiency in the matter, and these have a cost attached to it as well. So if you're in the US, these exams cost somewhere around $100 to all the way to $400 for every attempt that you take the examination. And in India, it roughly translates to somewhere around 7,000 rupees all the way up to 28,000 rupees as well. So this is for every single attempt that you're going to take up that particular examination, right? Now, guys, point number 2 here is a very, very important point. Point number 2 states that from June 2021, all of the Azure certifications is going to be valid for 1 year, right? So it's one of these things that's going to come into your head. The thought that's going to come into your head is, okay, so after 1 year, when we have probably paid a lot of money for a certification, what happens? Guess what? Microsoft says that they will renew your certifications absolutely free of cost, but then you have to take an online assessment examination for that. So it's like 1 year down the line, you just have to reprove yourself with a small examination, and that again extends your Azure certification, that you are certified in that duration for another year as well, right? So how amazing is this? You'll be paying for the examination once, but definitely you get this kind of a free renewal every year that will just make sure that you down the line do not have to keep paying Microsoft to keep renewing your certifications, right? So that's a very important thing. Now guys, let us get started with Azure Fundamental certifications, right? See, with Azure Fundamentals, you have 3 certifications out here. And one of these certifications itself is called Azure Fundamentals, right? Azure Fundamentals in itself is a certification that you have to look forward to. There is an exam that you have to clear for this. It's the exam AZ900 that you have to clear to be certified, to be called as an Azure Fundamentals, right? To have that badge that you see on your screen right now, it is this. Now, what does a Azure Fundamental, certification test you on? The first thing is that you definitely will have to have the basic knowledge of how data is used on Azure, how Azure itself works, all the UI components. You getting familiarity with the entire ecosystem is something very important that you're going to be tested on in AZ900. So it's a very vital thing, guys. If you don't have your pen and paper or something, I highly suggest you take a note of these exams and of course the certifications that go with it. It is going to add a lot of value if you guys are very serious about your cloud career, right? Perfect. Now, whenever we go on to take a look at the second certification in the Azure Fundamental section, we have the Azure Data Fundamentals. Now, Azure Data Fundamentals is the second certifications in the category of fundamentals, which is very, very popular here. Now, just like Azure Fundamentals, you have to clear another exam here. The exam is called as DP900. And once you go on to clear this particular examination, you will be given a badge that looks like that, right? It's a fantastic badge. These fundamental courses, right? We're going to be discussing another fundamental course here. These 3 will add immense amount of value to showcase that you're showing good amount of knowledge in terms of the domain itself, but it also has another advantage. It showcases that you're using it as a stepping stone to maybe look towards associate and even expert level certifications, right? Perfect. So coming back to data fundamentals, you'll actually be tested on multiple life cycle concepts, multiple main services, which are, a key part of Azure. So you have to have some working knowledge about what are the services that are being provided for you in Azure, what are the life cycles, how is the development methodology working, is there something that Azure is doing very differently for the other platforms, and all of that is something you have to know. You're going to be tested based upon that. Now, since we're talking about data fundamentals, if you're a person who is very interested in the field of data engineering, right? Or let's say you're a person who's looking towards database administration roles and all of that, this certification is an amazing place for you guys to start upon it, right? And look at what I told. I told you that Azure is, it provides all role-based certifications, right? Now, you might be thinking about, hey, I want to work on Azure, but I do not want to become a full-blown cloud computing expert. I want to become a data engineer. Can I still use Azure? I hope this answers your question to that, right? To talk about the third fundamental certification we have here in Azure, it's the Azure AI Fundamentals. Now, for all of you guys who are looking towards the domain of artificial intelligence and you want to deploy artificial intelligence, AI-based solutions on the cloud, look no further than Azure AI Fundamentals, right? As always, here's another exam that you have to clear. Exam AI 900 has to be cleared for this certification. It is extremely popular whenever you're coming from a domain of data science or anything that's related to you providing a solution by using artificial intelligence, right? So attaining artificial intelligence is a goal of data science, but if you have to do all of this on a cloud computing platform, that is possible these days as well. That's the most fantastic thing about these cloud computing platforms. So you can perform a variety of tests on all of your machine learning algorithms. You can work on natural language processing, or the concept of NLP as it's called, and you can use a ton of other services that Microsoft Azure are going to give you to work with artificial intelligence based solutions, right? So to go on to do all of that, you have to showcase your proficiency, and to go with working knowledge of the domain, you definitely can attempt the AI 900 examination, and upon clearing it, you guys will clear the Azure AI Fundamentals certification, right? Now we discussed three things: Azure Fundamentals, Azure Data Fundamentals, and Azure AI Fundamentals. Now, a question that you might ask is saying, do I have to finish all three of these to go ahead? The answer is absolutely no, right? But a good place to start is definitely Azure Fundamentals. It'll get you started with the domain. Clearing that examination will put a concrete foundation to your learning. So I highly suggest you guys check that out. But then, of course, if you're a person who's into data engineering, if you're a person who's into machine learning, artificial intelligence and all of that, you can look at Data Fundamentals or you can look at AI Fundamentals. Perfect. The next thing that we're going to check out is the associate certifications from Azure. Now, to go on to work on these associate certifications, you have to have a decent amount of experience. 6 months to 1 year is what is recommended for this, right? There are 7 very important associate certifications that we have to discuss here. We have the Azure Administrator certification, we have the AI Engineer certification, DBA, which stands for Database Administrator, we have the Data Engineer certification, Data Scientist, Azure Developer, Azure Security Engineer. Can you see how these certifications are again role-based? So if you want to become a database administrator, you have a certification of your own. If you want to become a data scientist and use Azure, you have a different certifications. If you're a person who's looking towards security aspect of things, you have an entirely different certification as well, right? So that's the most amazing thing whenever we talk about these things. Perfect. Let us go on to discuss about the first certification that we have, which is the Azure Administrator certification. With Azure Administrator, you have to clear this exam. It's called as AZ104. This is a very important examination that you have to clear if you're looking towards becoming an Azure Administrator. This will test you on your ability of how you can monitor situations, manage solutions, and of course, how you can implement new solutions on existing problems or maybe on novel problems as well. So it will test you a lot about these things. You have to work on a lot about understanding how processing works, how the networking aspect of things work, and how storage itself works on the Azure cloud. So once you have a concrete understanding of all of these, you definitely can attempt the examination. Clearing it adds a lot of value to your resume. Right, guys. Moving on to the next one, we have the Azure AI Engineer. Now, hey, this is an Associate AI Engineer certification, right? So for this, again, you have an examination called as AI 100 that needs to be cleared. It is very, very similar to the Azure AI Foundation, the fundamental certification that we just took a look at 2 minutes back. But here, the level of complexity just becomes bigger, right? So it's a lot more complex. You will be asked questions, to a far more in-depth regarding AI, and that is a very important thing. So whenever you're talking about the concepts of knowledge mining, whenever you're talking about using cognitive services on Azure cloud, or whenever you just want to provide an AI-based solutions using the platform itself, right, you definitely need this certification. Again, whenever you're looking for a job as well, people realize that, hey, this person is certified in this particular concept, right? Perfect. Now, guys, to talk about the next certification, we have the Azure, Database Administrator Engineer certification. Now, this talks about how you guys can work on becoming experts in Azure database administration. An exam needs to be cleared for this as well. The exam is called Exam D300. It's a very important examination. It's going to completely test you on how you have the capability to not only manage solutions, but also deploy the same using the cloud computing platform, right? So you will be taught about how you can be working with safe environments, how you will be implementing data platform resources, and a lot more. So having knowledge about these is exactly on what you're going to be tested on in the exam D300, guys. So this is the Azure Database Administrator certification. You definitely should look towards this if you're a person who's very interested in handling the backend aspect of things using Azure, of course, right? Perfect. Next, we're going to talk about the Azure Data Engineer certification. Now, Data Engineer certification is a very important certification. This requires 2 examinations for you to clear, unlike all of these exams that we just took about where you have to clear only 1, right? So in this particular case, you have to clear 2 examinations, the DP200 and of course the DP201 as well, to become a data engineer, to become a certified Azure data engineer, right? All right. Perfect, guys. Now to talk about what you're going to be, how different is Azure Data Engineer examination from the others, right? Well, this is the only associate level of certification where you'll have to give 2 examinations to clear it. So you'll be quizzed on a lot about data security, data monitoring, and the concepts of data management itself. So having knowledge about this is a concrete requirement for you guys to clear these 2 examinations, DP200 and of course DP201, right? And if you are a person person who is looking towards handling the concepts of big data, data ingestion, and all of these in the life cycle of data itself, I highly suggest you guys check out the Azure Data Engineer certification, right? Perfect. Now to move on, the next one we're going to be checking out is the Azure Data Scientist certification. Now, the Azure Data Scientist certification is a fascinating one because again, this requires one examination, DP 100, that you have to clear. And the huge advantage of you guys looking towards two very fantastic domains such as data science and cloud computing is that you can deploy all of your machine learning models, AI models, deep learning models, whatever it is, using the Azure ecosystem itself. And that is exactly what you'll be tested upon, is how best can you make use of the Azure ecosystem and how best can your model perform when it is used on these particular ecosystems as well, right? So you will be tested on your ability to implement solutions, to deploy machine learning solutions, and a lot more. So it becomes very important that if you guys are looking towards expertise in data science on the Azure platform, you highly should look towards and work towards the DP 100 examination. To talk about the next associate certification, ladies and gentlemen, is the Azure Developer certification, right? So for this, you are going to require an examination, another examination called AZ204 that needs to be cleared. Here you'll be tested on your ability of how you can work with Azure services, how you can not only design but also create, maintain, and test all of these services at the same time as well. It's a very important thing that you guys have to know about. The third thing is that it is also very, very important that you guys have to know about how you can work with the software development kit itself. That is what SDK stands for. So whenever you go on to use this Azure SDK, having working knowledge on that is very, very important for you guys to work towards becoming an Azure developer, right? Perfect. The next one, the last one of the Azure Associate certifications that we're going to be checking out is the Azure Security Engineer certification. Now, a common thing is that whenever you put your data, somewhere else, whenever you put your data, on the cloud platform, it is usually like saying, hey, is my data safe or not? Of course, for you to portray yourself to be an expert in terms of Azure security, there's another certification here. The exam you have to clear for it is AZ500. This will test you on your ability of how you can implement security controls, how you can work with identity management, even role-based authentication as well. There's a lot of different things that you have to know about. And hey guys, whenever we're talking about data, one important thing is to protect it. And these data protection techniques keep changing day in and day out, right? So you have to have the knowledge about the latest data protection methodologies. And once you have working knowledge of all of that, I think it's vital that you guys take up AZ500 if you're looking towards the data security aspect of things. All right, perfect. So next we're going to move on to understand the Azure Expert certifications. Now we saw the fundamental, we saw the associate level certifications. Now we're going to take a look at the expert certifications. Well, in terms of expert certifications, the offering from Microsoft are pretty nice out here because we have two very, very, very important Azure Expert certifications, which is the Azure Solutions Architect certification and the Azure DevOps Engineer, right? So let us discuss each of them individually. To start out with, firstly, if you're taking a look at the Azure Solutions Architect, right now, being certified in this, right? So it means that you actually are a thorough expert in Azure itself, right? How amazing is that? But then to go on to showcase yourself saying, hey, I am thorough in Azure, you have to clear two important examinations, Azure AZ 303 and of course 304 as well. Now again, in the expert category, here is another certification where you have to clear two examinations for it, right? Of course, this certification is definitely going to be challenging. You're going to require complete knowledge of application design, working on security, how you can look towards infrastructure management, infrastructure maintenance, cost cutting, even with the respect of how you can use data to solve problems, right? So when you're calling yourself as an expert Azure developer, or let's say an Azure solutions architect, as an architect, you have to know things in and out, right? So it's vital to have a lot of experience before attempting this particular examination. It's a very popular examination. And once on the other side, once you become a certified Azure Solutions Architect, the salary trends increase in an exponential way. So people out there are looking for solutions architects, and I think all of you all who are tuned into this session can definitely work towards becoming experts there, right? Perfect, guys. The next one we're going to check out is the Azure DevOps Engineer certification. Now, with the Azure DevOps Engineer certification, unlike the previous one, we do not require two examinations to clear. You require one examination. It's called as the AZ400 that you have to clear. right? But to get to this point, to call yourself as an Azure DevOps engineer, it becomes very vital that you either using it and providing solutions on a wonderful cloud computing platform such as Azure. It becomes vital that you understand all the strategies that go on into doing this, understand code, understand all the testing methodologies, implementation, and how you can do all of this on the Azure platform, right? So once you can go on to do all of this, then providing a solution catering via Azure becomes very easy. But to become certified, you have to write the exam AZ400. So I hope you are clear with all the fundamental certifications, associate certifications, and the expert level certifications, right? Perfect, guys. Now we're going to take a look at two fantastic specialty certifications that we have here at Microsoft Azure. It's the Azure IoT Developer Certificate and of course the Azure for SAP workloads as well. Now, in this particular case, with the Azure IoT Developer Certification, as someone of you asked in the comment section, you can implement Internet of Things, the entire technology, the entire domain, and provide solutions using Azure as well. So, to go on to become an expert in IoT, to become certified saying, hey, I can implement IoT solutions on Microsoft Azure, you are going to take a look at the Azure IoT Developer Certification, right? It's a specialty certification. Again, on the other side of things, if you're a person who's looking towards integrating SAP technologies and of course bringing it together with Microsoft Azure, you have another specialty certification for it. It's called as Azure for SAP workload. So depending on what it is that you require. Now, IoT is a very, very different thing when you compare it to handling a SAP workload, right? Or SAP workload. So it is a specialty. It is not what everyone would want to do, but then, hey, if you're a person who's willing to do it, well, Microsoft Azure has a certification ready for you guys to take up. And of course, you have to clear the examinations and all of that, right? All right, guys. So I hope all the Azure certifications we quickly covered in this particular video was completely clear for you all. Now, similarly, as I mentioned, let us take a look at the certifications that are provided by the people at Google, for the GCP or the Google Cloud Platform. Let's begin. The other important pointer that I have to talk to you about the world of GCP, about the world of certifications is, I think we need to take a step back to understand why certifications are so important for the world of cloud computing, right? Now, whenever you have met a person who's an expert in the cloud, there's a good chance that he or she is certified. Now, this certification is like a seal of guarantee, that this person has the complete working knowledge to work on this domain. Now, AWS provides many certifications, Azure provides many certifications, and just like AWS and Azure, even GCP does provide multiple different certification as well. And especially now during the COVID-19 pandemic, the entire world realized that, hey, I think we definitely should look more into cloud. So the investments that people are making towards the cloud computing industry has quadrupled, from 2020 on. So there's an estimate which says that in the next 4 years, 85% of the entire IT workload on the globe is going to be moved to the cloud computing platform. 85% of the entire IT industry. How amazing is this, right? And the second thing is that these certifications are extremely important in today's world because companies who are hiring for cloud computing experts are making sure that these certifications are a compulsion. Now, there are certain companies who says, hey, if you have the skills, it's more than enough. But a majority of the companies in this particular domain say, hey, you have to be certified in this particular domain so that they are sure that you know the in and out of that particular domain, subdomain, whatever it is, right? Perfect. An added advantage to this is that all the certifications that you have in GCP are all role based. So based on whatever it is that you want to do, you guys can pick them up. It is not like you pick up a certification in GCP and you are forever stuck in that particular role. If you want to do another certification, you can go on to do it. So this opens up your profile towards multiple industries, ladies and gentlemen. That's a very, very important thing, right? Perfect. Look at the last point. Look at the third point here. I think you will be very much interested to understand that, GCP developers, Google Cloud Platform developers are paid really, really well. The average salary is somewhere around 130,000 American dollars, goes all the way to 180,000 dollars. In India, it starts somewhere around 12 lakhs per annum and it goes all the way to 35, 40 lakhs per annum, ladies and gentlemen. All of these numbers are definitely achievable. As I always say, in all of my cloud computing sessions that we have is that this is a domain where, no matter where you're staying in the world, you can of course work remotely. That's what the world is doing now. You can expect a very, very good salary, or you can, even ask for a brilliant salary here, because that kind of an expertise is required in the domain, right? Once you become an expert in a niche product, it ensures that, a lot of people will be interested to have your services in that, by making them go on to use that particular domain as well. So it's a very important thing that you guys understand that there's a lot of demand. There's thousands and thousands of jobs which are being created, and of course these jobs are paying amazing salaries regardless of your experience. You might be a fresher, you might be a person who has 5 years experience, 10 years experience, and all of that, right? So that's an important thing that you guys should know about. Now, to talk about a very important thing here, I'm sure you guys are very curious about understanding which GCP certification should you eventually go for. Right now, there are multiple certifications. Let us discuss, one after the other. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, there are two tiers of important certifications out here. It's the Google Cloud Associate certification, and then you have the Google Cloud Professional certifications. Perfect. So understand right now, guys, do take a note of this. This is a very important point. There are two tiers, Associate and Professional. So without further ado, I think we have to talk more about what these certifications are, how many certifications are there before jumping into the Associate certifications, right? Perfect. First of all, you guys have to understand that there are 9 different GCP certifications that you can work towards. I'll answer one question right away. You might say, hey, if I want to, work on all 9 certifications, can I do it? The answer is absolute yes. You can work on all of these. There is absolutely no prerequisites for these certifications. There is no hard and concrete prerequisite that says you have to have 2 years of experience, 3 years of experience to take up this examination to clear the certifications. Absolutely no. You will definitely, the suggested amount of experience I'm going to talk about whenever we talk about each of these certificates. But for now, you have to realize that there is no hard prerequisites, right? Perfect. So whenever you go on to take up these examinations to clear the certification, guys, all of the questions will be multiple choice questions. And since these are all role-based certifications, or, even Google G Suite certifications, it will make your job to prepare for these certifications easy as well, right? Perfect, guys. Now we can go on to check out the validity of these certifications. Now, you will have a question saying, okay, so if I become certified in GCP, how long will my certificate be valid for? Very good question. Your certificate will be valid for 2 years. And what happens after 2 years, right? So at the end of your 2 years of certification, you will be reminded constantly by Google to recertify. Now, the price of recertification is at a 50% discounted rate, compared to the actual price of every attempt. Now, these examinations that you have to take, you have to clear one examination for every certification. These exams can cost somewhere around $125 all the way to $200, and of course in India it's 9,000 rupees all the way to 15,000 rupees, right? Now this is the amount you have to pay for every single attempt of every single exam that you guys will have to take. The exact number will vary upon the actual certification, but here is the lower threshold and here is the upper threshold that consists of these numbers as well, right? Perfect, guys. Now we can go on to check out the GCP Associate certification. Now, one important thing I mentioned is that there are 9 certifications out there, but I've mentioned Associate certification instead of Associate certifications. Why is that? Well, GCP Associate certification is only one. In the Associate level, there's only one certification here, and the people at Google recommend that you have to have somewhere around 6 months of experience working with the Google Cloud platform before actually you take up this particular certification, right? They don't say you have to compulsorily have 6 months, but they recommend that, hey, you know what, you're spending a good amount of money. If you have to clear it in your first attempt, you guys definitely require this amount of experience, right? Now, to go on to earn this particular certification, you have to pass an examination. The examination is called as the Associate Cloud Engineer examination. Guys, take a note of this, right? This will completely test your ability on how is your fundamental knowledge with the particular domain, how well can you go on to deploy a cloud-based solution solution? How can you make sure that at the end of the day, your solution works without being interrupted, without failure and all of that, guys. So in terms of data security, you already know data can be vulnerable in the cloud computing platform. So you have to talk about security protocols, access methodologies, and a lot of these things. Of course, you will be not drilled on like a very, complex level or a very hard question kind of a thing here, but all of these will be simple questions, but it can get tricky. So that's why they say you have to work on the platform, for 6 months straight. Guys, now that we took a look at the associate certification, it's high time we take a look at the professional certifications. Now, with professional certifications, as I told you, there were 9 in total, out of which 1 was the associate. So we have the remaining 8 that we're going to discuss quickly, right? So you have the cloud architect certification, the cloud developer, data engineer, cloud DevOps engineer, cloud security engineer, cloud network engineer, collaboration engineer, and of course, machine learning engineer, right? Perfect, guys. Let's quickly go on to take a look at each and every one of these. Now, the first certification that we're going to discuss is the Professional Cloud Architect certification. Now, this is a certification. Again, all of these certifications have examinations that you guys have to clear, but this particular certification talks about how you can go on to have the capability to design and plan a cloud solution architecture. So you have to have that kind of an ability. You're going to require all the knowledge about how you can work with various network topologies, star topologies, and all of these different things in a way where you're trying to say, hey, as a professional cloud architect, you can, completely solve anyone's problem, a client's problem, and provide a solution using the Google Cloud Platform, right? That is what you will be tested upon. That's what your abilities will be tested upon in this particular certification. Now, the next certification that we're going to check out is the Professional Cloud Developer certification. Now, the name itself suggests developer, right? So you must have the ability to build and test and deploy cloud-based application. So whenever you're talking about cloud-based applications, usually they have to be very scalable, right? Today, your application is serving maybe for 10 people. Maybe you're a pizza company. You opened a pizza place. 10 people are ordering now. Maybe you get really popular and 1,000 people start ordering your pizzas, right? In that particular case, your application has to have the capability to handle 1,000 people here. Now, that kind of an approach of your application development is exactly what you guys will be tested upon in Professional Cloud Developer, right? I hope I was clear with that. Perfect. The next one that we're going to take a look at is the Professional Data Engineer certification. Now, with data engineering, we always talk about big data and how you guys can go on to work with data warehousing and maintaining data processing systems as well. So you will have to have the ability to design and maintain these systems. And there's multiple different services out there where you have to have hands-on experience, like Cloud Bigtable, you have Cloud Spanner, Cloud Data Store, and more, guys. So it becomes very important that you take a note of all of these different things that we're discussing here. We're going to take a look at the next certification, which is the Professional Cloud DevOps Engineer. Now, with your Cloud DevOps Engineering, you already know that you require the understanding of development and operations, concept called as DevOps. You'll be using a lot of DevOps concept across the cloud. So having the ability to not only know about CI/CD pipelines, which is continuous integration and continuous development, deployment pipelines, you have to use it, you have to implement it, and you have to make sure that it is working robustly on the Google Cloud Platform. So with respect to site reliability, with respect to services, with respect to how you bring together, these DevOps principles and DevOps methodologies to the world of GCP is exactly what you'll be quizzed upon. And you guys have to prepare for that for the Professional Cloud DevOps Engineer certification. So I hope I was clear with that. Right? Perfect, guys. So the next certification that you guys should definitely look towards is the Cloud Security Engineer certification. Now, with the Cloud Security Engineer certification, it will, as the name itself suggests, we're talking about firewalls, we're talking about security, we're talking about not only securing your platform, but also securing the applications that you guys will be developing and deploying on your cloud platform, right? So that is a very important thing here. You need to have the complete capability of how you can configure access management. Now, access management is something we all do in our daily lives, right? Now, for all the people who have tuned into this particular live session from your mobile phones, I am sure you guys, will have a password on. It can be a fingerprint, it can be a pattern, it can be a pin and all of that. So what are you trying to do? You're trying to restrict someone else accessing your particular phone, right? That is exactly what you're going to be doing here, but with your product on the Google Cloud platform as well. Not everyone will have access to it, even though the data is sitting on a public server, right? Perfect. So the next certification you guys definitely should look forward to is the Cloud Network Engineer. Network Engineer will talk about how you are completely well versed with the GCP network, how you can work with DNS strategies, and another concept called as disaster recovery services. So whenever, let's say you have data loss, the hard drives crashed in the servers, there's an earthquake, there's a tsunami, and somehow the data center lost your data. So they will have services where they would have backed up your data and you can access all of these. So disaster recovery is like a cure for an illness, right? So that's a definite thing here as well. And an important thing, guys, that you have to note about the Cloud Network Engineer certification is that here you will be quizzed upon how you guys can implement the VPC, or it's also called as the Virtual Private Cloud. It's a fantastic offering we have here at GCP, and knowledge of this is very much required, right? Perfect, guys. Taking a look at the next certification now is the Professional Collaboration Engineer. Now, a collaboration engineer's role is fantastic. I'll tell you why. You have used apps like, Gmail, Google Drive, Google Meet, Google Calendar, and all of these, right? So these are called as the workspace core apps. So you will have to work on configuring these to make sure your application works really well with them, right? So you have to have the ability to plan, have the ability to implement, and make sure you're deploying these particular Google Workspace apps, and they have to bring it together and make sure it works well with your usage. It has to work well with your applications, guys. This is a very, very important certification if you guys are looking towards working with the Google Workspace core apps, right? So now that we checked out these certifications that are out there, these very important certifications, I am confident that you guys will have a question saying, okay, so in which order should we go on to complete these certifications? Should you take up one? Should you take up all? If you have to take up more than one, is there an order and all of that, right? See, one very, very important point here that I have to make is whenever you take a look at the certification order, right, there is no particular order for any of these GCP certifications. If you have to take up, a machine learning engineer certification, you can take that up. Do you want to become a network engineer and you have to take up the network engineering, certification, you can do that, right? But before you work on the professional certifications, look at the second point, guys. It becomes very, very important that you guys work on the associate certification first. The associate certification is basically telling, telling yourself and telling the world that you have gotten started with that particular platform, and to a certain degree you're good with it, and then working on a professional certification will show that you're completely proficient in that domain, right? And the third thing is that whenever someone asks me a question saying which should I go on to do, I highly suggest, of course, start with the associate. There's only one associate certification in GCP. Whenever you're looking towards professional certifications, make sure you guys are working towards whatever it is that you want to do. Now, some of you might be very interested in working with network security. Some of you might be working with data engineering. Some of you might be interested in working with the Google core apps. Some of you might be very much interested in working with machine learning applications and all of that. So find what it is that you want to work with, pick that certification, and then get certified in that, right? Perfect, guys. And the last point is that, as always, it is not only your interest, but also you have to take a look at what the current industry demands as well. For example, now DevOps, machine learning, all of these concepts are highly, highly trending. And if you're looking towards making a career which is highly rewarding monetarily, and of course, it gives you the satisfaction of knowing that you can, deliver fantastic solutions using the cloud platforms such as GCP, then of course, you're going to be looking at that certification and you're going to be working on the same as well. Alright, guys, so to summarize everything we have learned on this video, we started out by taking a look at all the details for AWS certifications, right? Once you are clear with that, I'm sure some of you are very curious about taking a look at understanding what Microsoft Azure has to offer in terms of certifications. We did take a look at that to a good amount of depth as well. And then the most trending platform right now is Google Cloud Platform, and we definitely had to take a second to completely analyze, run through what it is that they're doing, what you will need to go about working on with respect to your certifications in GCP as well, right? So guys, with this video, I hope everything that we have covered is clear to all of you all. On that note, thank you so much for watching. My name is Anirudh Rao. I'll see you on the next one.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. This is done to make sure you do not miss out on any of the new updates or video releases from Great Learning. And of course, guys, if you enjoy this video, show us some love and do like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, right? So make sure you share this video with your friends, colleague, and everyone who can make use of it. And at the end of it, make sure to comment on the video if you have any queries or any suggestions, and I'll be more than happy to respond to all of your comments.